display.
Oh, thank God we got new, do you realize how tired I was
It's
of
got
looking
really
lead
worried about being
arsenic,
down here.
and Paris green.
order. Everyone is here. Proof of posting.
Yes.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Also move.
Motion by Kathy, second by
Roy?
Roy. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have anyone who wants to speak to the board on something that's not on the agenda? Okay. I would like a motion for approval of minutes from the February 17th regular board meeting and the March 16th meeting that really didn't happen. I kind of went into great detail on the minutes for the meeting that didn't happen. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Jeanette, second
I'll second.
by Kathy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Current expenses and vouchers payable. Do I have a motion to approve them?
I so move.
Motion moved by Roy, second by Jeanette. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Correspondence, anything, Michelle? Okey-doke. Administrators report?
Not a lot, just our open enrollment, we didn't have any since the last board meeting, but we had 4 students that moved in and we had 3 students that moved out, so that's what we have in student enrollment. That's all.
Okay. Jeff?
I've got a few things. We've been doing a few things with our assessment. One of the things we're looking at our middle school level, particularly right now, is looking at a STAR testing trial, which is part of the group out of Wisconsin Rapids. I forget the name of the company, sorry. But we did a trial with our middle school, and we are looking at that. That's something that might replace what we currently do in our middle school level to get benchmarking in the fall, winter, and springtime. So I'm still looking into that. State testing, we have the Wisconsin Forward exam, which we're learning more about. We still are getting ready for that. Our district assessment coordinator and Ms. Spear are putting together a schedule for all the teachers as to when the test is going to occur. It is computer-based. It's not timed. And again, it's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that get tested on the Forward exam. And then don't forget, we also have ACT Aspire for the 9th and 10th graders that are also coming up here. The windows for these, by the way, start in April and essentially go through about the 3rd week of May. So we've got a lot of testing that's going to go on there. We did get done at the beginning of March here. We had the ACT for all of the juniors, and that's a 2-day test. So ACT one day, and we do the ACT work keys the second day. The work keys is a test that's more based on job skills, and more of a tech school driven skill for the kids. And so they worked very hard both days, honestly, and we bought them pizza and we had some donuts and stuff, so it's a long day of sitting there and doing those tests, and so they did very well though. And I'm looking forward to seeing the results. We should get them back hopefully by the end of April. Also, we are working on our middle school and high school master schedule. We pretty much have it put together. We are going to be starting scheduling with the students here next week. So we'll have that taken care of hopefully by the end of April. Other things going on here. We had last night our spring sports meeting for all the parents and student athletes. We had switched to that in the wintertime of doing a required meeting for parents, and we had really, really good attendance last night at that meeting. During those meetings, I take them through the co-curricular handbook. We look at the bullying harassment policy. We go through the sportsmanship contract that they'll have to sign off on. And then we split up into our groups. So we had softball, baseball, and track that split off and went through the coaches' expectations and talked a little bit more in depth about their sport specifically. So again, very good numbers at our meeting last night. For parents that weren't able to get there, we do have to set up meetings between myself and Mr. Bradley to sit down and go through those documents with the parents before they can participate in the sport. So, and we do have a handful of people that need to do that. Numbers, roughly, softball, this is they started last week on Monday, but roughly about 17 kids playing softball. Baseball, about 16 that have signed up in track, somewhere in the neighborhood of 24, 25 kids, so really good numbers. That's a little over 50% of our high school that's involved in some sort of spring activity right now. Also, you can kind of hear it in the background right now is the musical, and the kids have been practicing very, very hard for that. We do have their performance dates of April 2nd and April 3rd approaching quickly, so tickets will be available and everything. I think they'll just probably be buying them at the door, but I got a chance last night before the athletic meeting to listen in on a little bit, and it's all 80s based music. So if you are a child of the 80s or enjoyed 80s music, that's the place to be. And they got some nice dancing and everything they're working on in there too. The elementary students actually partnered with the Bancroft Lions Club here recently to collect used eyeglasses, and so we just collected them yesterday. I pulled them all in, and when we counted up, we had 87 pairs of used eyeglasses that the kids had donated, and Kathy Booth here just picked them up tonight, and so I had a big old box of glasses. The kids were very proud about that, and it was fun, very fun for the students. Nice to see that they, you know, by donating something like that, it's going to go to help people all over the world that are in need of glasses. All right, that's it for me.
Any questions for Jeff? Okay, do we have any donations to report? Okay. On to policy development and review. We have policy 133, procedures for board vacancy, which includes vacancies greater than 60 days. It's the second reading. And this is mandated by recently enacted legislation. So since this is the second reading, do I have a motion to approve procedures?
Also move.
Motion by Kathy, second by
I'll second it.
Jerry. Questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have policy 720, school safety. It is our second reading of the policy, and we have a plan. Any questions or comments? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Jeanette, second by
Sure.
Roy. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are on to recommendations for coaching assignments and resignations. Mr. Box, Jeff, who
Well, let
wants that?
Mr. Rickle do
Yeah,
that.
I can go through this. The first that I have is our track coaches. We had both positions were vacant, and so we are going with a situation here of co-head coaches here this year with Mr. Vanderlaan as well as Mr. Nagel have come forward to help out and coach the track team this year. And like I said, we've got 24, 25 kids that are out for it. The meeting last night, I sat in a little bit with their meeting and stuff, and they seem very excited about it. And you know, the kids are, I think, excited to run this year too. So that's my recommendation for track.
Is that the normal amount that comes out? Do you know?
Approximately, you know, it varies. We've had years where maybe a few more than that, and depends on the dedication of the students and everything, but I've had years where then it dwindles down to 10, 8 kids sometimes by the end of the season. Last year, though, I think we pretty well maintained, I think, between 20 and 25 kids throughout the season.
Now the kids can do 2 sports.
Yes, dual sports. We actually talked about that last night at our athletic meeting, and so we do have a few softball and baseball kids that's going to be their primary sport, either baseball or softball, and then want to run track if possible. And so the rules behind that too is if there's a conflict, so if we have a track meet and a baseball or softball game on the same event, they have to go to the primary sport first. And unfortunately, the way our schedule falls, I think there's only one track meet that does not have a conflict right now, and that's on May 17th. And so that is one that any dual sport athletes are going to be required to be at that meet. And then if for some reason, if we have a game where we've got a field now with the snow coming in, if we have an early track meet, but perhaps a school doesn't have a field that is available to play on and we have to reschedule that game, if the kids are available for that track meet, then they need to go to it as well. So, yeah, this is kind of our first jumping off here with the dual sports program.
How is practice going to be handled?
As they can. So the coaches are actually working with each other to try to get a little bit of practice time here and there. So it's a balancing act.
Okay. Do you want to approve these individually? Or all at once, or
Almost certainly individual.
let's, do you want to do them after each presentation, or do you want to do it at the end? Okay, do I have a motion to approve Kevin Vanderlaan and Corey Nagel as co-head coaches for track?
Also move.
Motion by Kathy, second by
I'll second it.
Jerry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to volleyball.
All right. We had our head volleyball position has been opened. We had 3 applicants for that, and Mr. Bradley and I did do the interviews and stuff on that. Our recommendation for the head volleyball position is Brian Sternhead. Brian has some background. He's got 3 years of high school volleyball experience. He's got several years of experience at the middle school level as well. Has a wealth of knowledge about the sport, and is also very energized and motivated to try to bring our program up to what we would like to be.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'd like
Or
to
do you
take
want
that to closed session.
closed session? Okay, we're going to move that to closed session. Could I have information about the resignation?
Yes, we've got Dr. Wall, who's our current science teacher right now, that will be taking a position with another school district, and so he has submitted his resignation.
Do I have a motion to approve the resignation of Dr. Wall?
I so move.
Motion by Jerry, second
I'll second.
by Kathy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And a retirement.
And yes, our retirement, Todd Kniffel, who's our family and consumer science teacher. He's been with the district for the last 16 years. Todd, I know one of the things I know I will always miss about having Todd around is when we do the awards banquet in May for all the high school kids. His presentations I know are wonderful, and he really gets to know the kids. He knows who they are, and when he does his awards and stuff, I mean, that comes across too. That you know, he's always made very strong connections with the students here, so he will certainly be missed.
Is there a motion to approve his resignation?
So moved.
Motion by Roy, second by Jeanette. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. East Gym floor bids.
Well, you'd asked me to bid the refinishing the East Gym floor out, which I did. And we received 3 bids and 1 estimate, and I did send those out to you, copies of them, and so I guess whatever your wishes and thoughts are.
There seems to be a large, from top to bottom, difference. Any idea why?
Well, I can't answer that. You know, I'm disappointed in the one that did our high school gym. I'm very disappointed, and I'll let that person know. The Schmidt floors, that is from, I think it's Waukesha. And, you know, I think I don't know if you saw some of the things that they've done, and they just made it be a little bit outpriced for us. I was very impressed with the gentleman that came from Stockers, who's from New London, and they do a lot of jobs, of work for us, work locally. And I was very impressed with what the options they provided, their cost, and the experience and jobs that they've done. Yeah, so I met with two of them. I met with Basin Brothers and I also met with Suzanne Spaldhoffen from Stockton. Schmitz never did come up. But I can't answer that question, other than to say, there's at this point at least one, for sure.
Well, and is the Schmidt bid even, it keeps saying commercial oil modified. So is that water-based or is it oil-based?
Well, I don't know which one. Let me look at this.
Yeah, I had just kind of,
Yeah, it says
comparing them,
modified.
I was trying to,
Yeah,
I didn't know,
you
does that mean water?
here's the thing I found out after talking to some of the representatives. They've told us that what happens is, and why we were working with water-based, when they take it down to the wood finish and take it all out, it actually needs some soil it needs some oil to seal it, and then you put water on it. So that's why there's a combination of,
Okay.
yeah, and I even checked with Baseman who did that gym, and that's what they do too. Once it's down to the raw wood, then they seal it with oil, and then come back with a water finish.
Well, the Schmidt one though, it's the oil for both the sealer
Yeah,
and the
that's- yeah.
finish.
And again, you know, and that's why I say if you look on Stalker's floor, I'm sorry I wrote off to the end of it, but I had some questions myself. And then, and you can see that 90% of the folks that whose floors they do, you can see that they, you know, where the bid is $10,000. 90% of the people elect to have that done in that manner. And I think, I don't know if I sent you the pictures, but they do a lot of floors that some are in our conference, some are even our neighbors. And so, yeah.
So is the oil a concern if we have, you know, either proper ventilation or people not in the building when it takes place, or have we been over concerned about the oil?
No, I don't think we've been over concerned about the oil, because this is one of the things that, I thought we selected those dates, and we put those dates
Yeah,
in there
the
because,
dates.
because no one was going to be here. So I don't know that it should be a problem, because I think we're good, right? Aren't we good for those
Yeah,
dates?
for those 2 weeks that we had picked out, there shouldn't be any students and minimal staff in the building.
I think one of the things though too, we were concerned about the oil that became yellow,
Yes,
the
it
floor
darkens, yes.
yellows.
Yeah, and they said it's not if it's maintained, what they said, what they told me is that over the years, if it's not done, then it does tend to turn dark. But, you know, one of the things that we had discussion, I don't know how many board meetings ago, but we talked about getting on a schedule. And again, whomever, if you pick anyone, whomever that group is, I think I would ask that you allow us, and perhaps a board member may wanna sit in on this, I think you'll see some offer, you know, a cost to do both floors. And I think we need to set that rotation up. And so that we have it they have it on their schedules, and I think we can get a fairly good cost if we lock into like 3 years. I mean, you know, 3 years may sound like a long time, but it really isn't. And the use of the floors are gonna continue. I mean, they're gonna get pounded on and used quite a bit. So, you know, I think if you make that decision tonight, again, I would certainly have a board member come and we can talk with that representative and we can work and figure out a price to do both of our floors at the same time. And again, I think that would be, it would serve our purpose in certainly getting the floors done on a regular basis, but I think we'd probably end up getting a cost break so that they can get on the calendar and they don't have to worry about, you know, getting work done.
Jerry, you have questions? You have questions?
Well, I was just looking at the square footage that they had on some of these here, why are they so much difference?
You know, that's interesting because I asked Ed, I don't know, you were standing right there, I think, when I asked Ed. I was kind of surprised to see the difference in square footage too.
Wouldn't we provide them with the square footage?
I did provide some of the square footage. When I was asked, I gave them the square footage. And I got it from Ed. Jeff was standing right there when I got it.
So what do you think the square footage is?
Well, I think it was 8,400 square feet is what I sent to that person, but I think that also includes the area for underneath the bleachers. And so I think he just simply took the footage of the gymnasium and then taken into account the area underneath the bleachers, which obviously are not gonna be, I mean, that's not gonna be refinished. There is one in here that's way, you know, that's way out, but I can't answer how that person ascertained that.
Now, on the Stalker bid, there's the one side of it is, I think, the auxiliary gym, which I would say must be the old gym, and that says it's like 6,600 square feet. And then the other side is the main gym at 8,000. And so are these just options to get on a refinishing schedule of the main
Yes,
gym?
yes.
And the other side is to actually redo this floor?
Yeah, you have two
Okay.
prices, on the auxiliary gym, you have the 10,000, 11,300, that's the two
Okay,
options.
okay.
And then on the other side of the other page is the main gym. They gave us a number of options there that we could choose from. And that's why I think, if we make a decision tonight, I think it would be wise for us to sit down and try to work out something, however the board wants to handle it, the timeline, what you want to use, what you even want to talk with the folks, and then make that determination.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to go with one of the companies?
I'd make a motion to go with the Stalker Sports Floors.
That's, Kathy, that's the one I like their estimate, I like how they outline stuff, you know what it is.
That's a second.
Yeah.
Okay, motion by Kathy, second by Bonnie. Any other discussion?
Is that just for the east floor?
Yes,
Right.
because that's what we stated, so we would have further discussions on the schedule.
So can you add on the motion for us to sit and use it, so that we can.
Kathy, in your motion, what were you making a motion for? Or just to go with them, because they've got their two prices, and then there's the options for if you want these other lines put in.
I was going with the top option. If that's, if that's what,
But usually, what does the administration recommend? Do we need those secondary
right,
things? I mean, I don't know,
well, and, I mean, that's fine with me if we want to, the board wants to sit down and
but we
discuss
should
that.
be,
I think that
we
would
need to be
good. Yeah.
specific.
But the bid sheet that was sent out to them, to everyone, was what we felt as though we needed for the 5 dots, the basketball, and all those courts. That's what we bid out. Now, it so happened that when Paul Huffman from Stalkers was here, gym class happened to be going on, and of course, when you ask somebody, is there anything else? And that's why you see the additional prices on there. And I guess, I'm not ready to say that we need those things, because he talked to the representative, it never came through Mr. Rick or myself. So I would just simply say, the $10,000, which included what was bid out.
I think, personally, I think that's what's fair, that we
Oh.
would approve what's.
I thought it
What
was,
was bid
it
out?
was extra, so we knew that wasn't
Right.
included in that one.
So can just to say the $10,000 bid?
Well, but now that's the oil.
That's
Are
the
we
oil,
all
right?
okay with the oil? I don't,
I'm
just
sorry,
wanna
I don't
keep-
have it in front of me, so.
I wanna
I
keep
just wanna be
everything-
specific,
I
that's
wanna
all.
keep everything the same. I don't want one oil
Oh,
and
thank you.
one water base, if you're gonna do one, you keep them all the same. You
Right,
don't
so
do
then that
one-
was-
So then it would be
one and one the other.
11,300.
That's a hydro,
That's,
everything would be kept the same,
yeah, I just,
between both
I just want
floors.
the motion to be
Yes.
specific, so we all agree. So Kathy's motion is to accept the bid of Stalker Sports Floors for 11,300, which includes the oil base, but then the water finish. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Teaching contracts, administrative contracts.
Yeah, The reason that we have that on there is because, the timeline is a little bit different than it used to be. It used to be April 15th, now it's May 15th too, and that'd be back to us by June 15th. But with what we have going on, and Jeff and I believe, we believe our current teaching staff warrants contracts for the upcoming school year, as does, and I'll make a recommendation for our administrative team. As far as negotiations, we've not started that process. You understand, I think I sent you out some information about the CPI. We've not even had our negotiated meetings. But we can issue contracts, and we issue the contracts with this year's salary until those negotiating is complete, and then we can put those amounts on there. But this allows Trina to start working on the contracts and to get them put together. And again, the only thing that we'd have to do is change the amount. But both Mr. Rickle and I have talked, and we feel very good about our staff, our current staff, and we feel confident that they do an outstanding job, and we'd like to issue them contracts so we can start working on that. As far as my administrative team, you understand where you understand my situation, that I'm not asking for an extension of my contract, that next year will be my last year, and not asking for an extension. I am asking that Mr. Rick will be given an extension, and traditionally, that's the way it's been in the administration, is that you have a 2-year contract. His contract right now runs until June of 2017, but if you give him an extension, it'll be June of 2018. Again, that's customary. And as far as Andrea being my special ed director, I think she should be given a 2-year contract. And then I think 1-year contracts for Erica Spear and Don McDonald. And again,
1-year extensions.
well, they can't get it, they don't have extensions, they're just on 1-year contracts.
So 1-year contract.
Administration is usually part, is the ones who you can extend.
I just wanna make sure I'm right, so it's really not a 1-year extension for Erica and
No.
Dawn, it's just
It's a 1-year
1-year
Right.
contract
Yeah,
that
I'm sorry, that's
covers 16-17.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I did put extensions in there, but no, they'd be given, they only have 1-year contract, and so they would be given a 1-year contract for next year. The only extension would be Mr. Rickle, and honestly, for Andrea Bena, she's on, she would be given a 2-year contract.
And so is her contract currently up at the end of this
You know,
year?
Bonnie, I knew you were gonna ask me that, and I'd have to look at it. I believe, Jeff, do you remember what?
I believe it's just a 1-year.
I think it is. I think it is a 1-year contract, but again, she is our director of special education, and it's a position that we need that consistent continuity with, and I think she brings to us a lot of experience from Stevens Point and also Auburndale. So that, I'm trying to give her some security, and ultimately good for us, so we have that continuity in our program, and that's why I would recommend a 2-year contract for her.
Any questions or any desire to move this to closed session? You want to move it to closed session? Okay, we will move this to closed session. Next, we have setting meeting dates for public input meeting regarding the Bancroft School, and the date for the board to vote on the future of Bancroft School. We met in Bancroft last Wednesday to what I thought was an outstanding gathering of people who were very eloquent in what they had to say. And now we need to schedule one in Elmond. And we want to get that out so we can put it in the newsletter, and then also let people know when we're going to vote on it. So I would probably say the sooner the better, because people are kind of anxious. So, thoughts, comments?
Is a tour of this school, because you can tell me this room, I'm going to this class here, this doesn't necessarily mean a lot to me all the time. Is a tour part of that informational meeting?
Actually, we talked about that after, some of us did after the meeting, because some people asked about that. So I would say that that's not a bad idea
No.
you know, I don't know, if we had the meeting at 6:30 or 7 and asked people to come at 6 to, you know, be part of a tour ahead of time. I think that,
And we did do that at the Bancroft meeting. I did suggest to Mr. Rickle in front of everyone that we do have a tour available, because it is a bit confusing, especially if you've not been here for a while, and I know there's been a lot of remodeling and structure, different structure in here. So I did suggest, and I still do believe it would be a good opportunity for folks to see exactly where, you know, where we might be looking at putting our pre-K and kindergarten. So I completely agree with what Debbie's saying, and I think, quite frankly, I think the public may be expecting that. I think it's a good thing. Yeah.
we're gonna send out, we're going to include in the newsletter, you know, information, and I don't know if you want, where else we can have them here that night. We did have a presentation in Bancroft, the maps of some of the proposed layouts. So I don't know if you want to put those in the newsletter or if you just want to have them here that night, but we certainly could do that too for people.
Whatever the board wants to do.
We could also have it, you know, available on the website through where the
A
newsletters,
lot of
just
older-
reference it
but a
in
lot
the
of
newsletter that you could go there, or you could come to the office to pick it out. I just don't want our newsletter to get really thick for something that maybe not everybody's gonna look at.
Yeah, a lot of older people won't have computers that they can do that. And, you know, when you look at who was at Bancroft, you didn't have, it wasn't just all parents of school-aged children.
That's true.
So, does anyone have,
Wait, you just slammed old people.
I am but Roy, I am one of those old people.
Actually, doesn't have a printer.
No,
Yeah.
she doesn't have a friend.
The print. Do we have a suggestion for when we could have that Almond meeting? I guess I'm thinking that maybe we could vote at the April regular meeting. I hate to have too many special meetings and mess everything up. There goes the ball. Okay, so today is the 22nd. Okay, is next week too early?
Well, you want it in the newsletter.
We want it in the newsletter, so
I'm
next
saying
week
if
is
it's
too
in the
early.
newsletter, you
That's
can't do it
next
till the week of the 11th.
When is the newsletter gonna go out, end of next week?
Next Thursday? Wednesday or Thursday? I mean, we can rush it, but it's up to you.
Yeah. Okay, I'm selfish. I planned a vacation around the school board meeting in April. So if we had it the week of the 11th, I sure would like it on Monday or Tuesday, because from Wednesday on, I'm gone. But then again, it's just me, and Roy, you can be, that's just me. So, I know Monday's a lot of governmental meetings,
Yeah, I
so.
don't have anything till like the 19th, so I'm good.
And Monday works for me.
Monday, April 11th?
We're gonna get that kind of parents. We're gonna be
What?
spot, for us, boys and girls.
What's what?
We'll be working, but we'll figure it out. Cause I guarantee you spuds are gonna be going in.
Oh,
Would Monday then, April 11th, and let's plan on a tour at 6 p.m.? I hate to do it much earlier because people want supper. And then, just so we don't
People
rush.
still working.
We're not all retired.
Ooh! And how about then if we have the public meeting at 7, because maybe we could do a couple shifts, you know, we can't expect everyone to be here at 6 on the dot, so maybe, you know, somebody can take some people through, and then at 6:20, we can take some people through, whatever. Okay. And so then we will have the public meeting at 7 in the auditorium.
You know,
I hate the auditorium, but.
I do too, and we're not gonna have it there, we're gonna have it, I think, we're gonna have it in the IMC, where it's quiet. And we'll get, you know, because it's low ceilings and it's, I know a lot of time, a lot of folks said they couldn't hear. So we already talked to Mr. Collins about it, and I think we can set that up so we can have the public meeting in there. It's a little bit quieter, it is a lot quieter, and there's no echo, and I would suggest that we have it there. That's just my
As
suggestion.
long as
but-
we can accommodate all the people.
Well, we can accommodate more there than we could at Bancroft, so, yeah. I think we'll be fine, don't you, Ms.
Yeah,
Collins?
it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay. And then can we agree that we will take the vote at the April 20th board meeting? Again, I want people to know so that they have plenty of advanced notice.
I understand the rationale with, for one, wanting to pick a date and be done with it and know what we're doing going forward. Also is, we have had the people sitting here that have been involved in this now, basically, the past couple months, thinking about it. My concern is that we are rushing something and we won't be ready for it. I know when I look at the presentation, I am not at all happy with the layout for the school. I know there's different parts of it I have concerns about. I have concerns about that Bancroft building, that if we're paying for a building, why are we rushing to move out of it with no game plan with what is going to happen with it? And this stuff is all stuff that takes time. So I guess I just want to put my concern forward that are we honestly going to be ready to say we are closing or not closing for the end of this school year
Well,
by our April meeting?
I have a question for the board. Because this is out in the community, and I've been contacted about possibly somebody wanting, and I'm not saying anything to anybody, because I don't know what the board, if you want me to talk to people that are interested, and then eventually come to you, I'm not doing that because the board has not given me that direction. I'm just kinda saying, I don't know. But if that's something that the board is interested in, because you cannot answer that question without asking if there's interest in it.
And Dan, I guess, I'm sorry, I thought when we started talking about this, and there were concerns about, well, could we really sell the building, whatever, and you had kind of said that then, well, you don't know until you try. I thought at that point, we told you, hey, if somebody's interested, let's talk about it, because that would all go into our decision.
I'm sorry, I don't recall
remember
that. I do not recall that at all. I just
Then
don't.
maybe I dreamt it.
I'm sorry, I don't. Because I'm a firm believer that I can't do anything without the board's wishes, and so I don't
We
recall
can't
that.
sell something that we haven't decided to sell.
Well, no, but that he could come forward and let us know, this person is interested, we have somebody that's interested.
But what do you say to them?
He could tell us, so we had some idea that there was interest, that yes, there is the possibility, we don't know for sure.
With all due respect, I said I wasn't gonna say these things, but I have to. That should not entertain your decision about what happens to the building. Because even though someone might be interested, things are not, you know what I'm saying? Things are not for sure. And even though, I don't even know what, next thing he's gonna say, well, what do they want for it? So where does it end? See, that's what I'm saying. Until that decision is made, it kind of open-ended. And that's what I'm saying, Bonnie,
Yeah.
and that's why I've had one person, but I don't know what to say, because I don't know what your thought process. I don't, one, if you wanna sell it, number two, your decision has been made. Number three, we don't even know what it's, I don't know. So it's just, that's all I'm saying.
Maybe we would sell it to the Boys and Girls Club for $1. I mean, there's just so many options if we would make the decision to vacate the Bancroft school. But, without that decision being made, I don't know what we would do.
And I didn't wanna do that to think that someone's putting pressure on you folks. That's what I guess I'm saying. Yeah, that's all. Yeah. Doing that, you do.
I guess the question I got is, we've got it asked it twice at the Bancroft, meeting. at the end there, what about a referendum? We have never talked about a referendum, going to a referendum at all in our meetings, never once. So how does that lie in, within, talk?
We have the option of doing that.
I'm just saying, it's been brought up twice, it was brought up twice in the Bancroft meeting, and once, we have never talked about it in our meetings at all.
I haven't been to the last couple of meetings, but is it the vote you're talking about, are you talking about the board's vote, or is the community voting?
Board.
Board.
Just the board?
Mhm.
So the community's not gonna vote whether they wanna close or not?
That would go to referendum if we called for a referendum. It would be too late to put it on the spring referendum now, so we would have to have a special referendum or wait until the fall election.
It's just they've asked us, at the meeting, and I just wanna make sure that we, bring that up.
I think it was just brought up, I mean, I know Dan had mentioned that this way the board would be doing the vote rather than, so you wouldn't be pitting community against community, but that was really the only discussion that we've had.
And I have seen that. I mean, and you understand.
Well, what, you can tell.
And you understand how that, I mean, that.
We could tell it was at the meeting, the Bancroft, it was,
But that's, when I speak about those things, it's only from experience. It's not saying what's right or wrong. There isn't right or wrong. It's whatever the board wants to do and the community wants to do. It's your school district. It's your schools. It's your school building. So, I mean, whoever you want to help you make those decisions, I mean, yeah.
And there also is a choice, you can have a binding referendum or an advisory, which means whichever way, I don't know. It's like, why have a referendum if you're not gonna go with what the people say? But you have the option of doing an advisory, so you kinda know, but then again, I guess the reason people do advisories is if only 50 people vote and there's, 10,000 people in the district, just because 50 people voted one way, the board has the option of going, not so sure. We had 18 inches of snow, nobody came to the polls, that kind of thing. So you can have an advisory referendum, or you can have a binding where, kind of like when we had it for the technology. People say yes or no, and we gotta do what they say.
Well, just, here on the, and because of personal reasons, I wasn't at the Bancroft meeting. I'd like to take the tour, because I really don't know where everything is and what that is, and I'd like to be at the meeting on the 11th, and I don't know that I will be comfortable deciding by the 20th. I don't want to rush a decision on this, to be honest with you. I mean, I truly don't. And maybe for a lot of us, we'll never be truly comfortable one way or the other. And so sometime you have to put a deadline there, because otherwise we'll never make a decision. I understand that. And I might be perfectly comfortable of going home on the 11th to vote on it. I can't tell you that now, but I hate to set that line in the sand until I've been at that meeting on the 11th from where I'm coming from. So.
All I care is that we tell people what we're thinking. I don't want them to think that we're stringing them along and then all of a sudden we're gonna pop a special meeting and vote. That's all I care.
I just don't see a big rush in it, because I can't see how we could move everything that wants to be moved in 1 year anyway. I mean, that would just be a lot for the presentation we were given. It's like, what, 13, 14 rooms? They're all shifting. Basically, that's a lot for one summer.
Yes, but I don't know that you can do that piecemeal either.
No, it's gonna have to be,
It's gonna have to be almost
it's
at
gonna have to be
one
done,
time.
but you have no choice. You have no choice.
Whenever you do it, there's gonna be other people. Well, let's start here. Can we, so we have agreed on Monday, April 11th, tour at 6 and public presentation at 7.
Is there any way, when we do the tour, is there any way, we have somewhat, you know, that last plan you put together with the teachers, is there any way that you can label some of the classrooms or where the kids, you know, this is where, maybe what your ideas are, where the kids would be in there, that people have actual, you know, visual, okay, this is, we're gonna put the kindergartners at 4K, you know, like a visual, of what we're gonna put
You
them.
just
I
put.
mean, I can do a map, but I can also even put
Right.
signs up on the door.
Just something like, just simple, it doesn't have to be nothing, just on the door, that's where we are.
Can we do a tour tonight if we're done early enough?
Good idea.
Certainly, yeah, I can actually take you right through
That's
it.
a good idea.
You know, and I know you guys talked about, you know, blocking that off too, you know, then maybe you can have an idea, you know, this is kind of where it's gonna go. You know, if we separate that hallway for
Yeah.
the kids, you know, just to, more people visualize it, you
Yeah,
know.
we can certainly.
Well, options are to have the public meeting on the 11th, and we could make it known right now that we have not set a date for voting on what to do. We may come to some kind of decision at the end of the program on the 11th, or, I mean, if we don't want to set the date, we don't have to set the date. But I just want to make sure we tell people we haven't set the date.
I personally feel that I wouldn't wanna set the date for April 20th because, I mean, I've been here a long time and I still don't know where all these rooms are.
Sure, it's not just me then, thank
Do you want to take a vote? You want consensus that we have agreed to the April 11th and we will see what happens after April 11th?
Yes.
You make that motion?
Why don't you, so we
I
have
make that
done
motion,
I'll second it.
what I said there,
yeah, what you said there.
what I said there. Got that? Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Keith, second by Jerry. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
So, may I ask a question, are you going to have a meeting on the 11th then, a school board meeting?
You have to have a school board meeting on the 11th if you were gonna set a date to vote on
Well,
that.
there was mention of that, that's why I'm asking, so I
Yes,
know
if
how to
so-
post it.
If you were gonna have a meeting, you'd
Well,
have to have a
that's-
meeting on the 11th if you were gonna set a date that you were gonna vote on that.
Well, I think we could nonchalantly agree to put it on the agenda, but if you want to.
Nonchalantly?
If we have a meeting, you have to remind me to call it to order.
I mean, I don't know the legalities of that. I mean, do we have
We
to
could
have a
have-
meeting to set the meeting date to do that? Or to?
Oh, you have to have 24-hour notice to the public before you.
You don't have to have a meeting to
Okay.
set a date.
No.
So we could nonchalantly do that.
We could nonchalantly do that, but again, yeah.
Why don't you give us a meeting so we do it?
Why don't we have a meeting and everybody remind me to call the meeting to order? It will follow the public meeting. You remind me to call the meeting to order. Did you read the minutes from the 16th? You have to read the minutes.
No, I cannot get the minutes on my computer, I don't understand.
I'll give you a copy.
They are the longest minutes of a meeting that wasn't held, let me tell you. Okay, so we have a motion. Okay, that passed, and so now we're gonna have a meeting following the public hearing to possibly set a date for voting on the Bancroft School issue. Right? Okay. Got that?
Do we
Okay.
have to have a motion for that?
You really don't.
Yeah, no, anybody can request
Yeah.
it. So you're gonna have a meeting on 11 following the public
Right,
to possibly, or to make a
No.
decision?
To possibly.
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 You just put it on the agenda.
Possibly
We can-
set a date
Okay,
to
Yeah.
vote.
Possibly.
possibly nonchalantly.
Nonchalantly, make sure you get nonchalantly. Oh, now we have items for signature, dates for upcoming meetings, the 20th. And now I would like a motion to go into closed session to discuss coaching and staffing. Do I have a motion?
Also move.
Kathy, second by
I'll second it.
Jerry, although, Keith,
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Okay, we will be going into closed session. Any,
Sure.
were we clear as mud there out for everyone out there?
Do we have any small break?
Yeah.
Thank you.